Alright, so I finally got around to watch Kung Fu. This was a female-led adaptation of another show by the same name. Obviously, the name was Kung Fu. I believe it was in like the late 80s, I believe. But the premise of the show is pretty different. I will say, like the show is like different enough to where it's like, dang, this ain't a carbon copy of a male-led show, but it is a female version of a male show, of course, because it's the CW, because why not? It's carbon copies. I went into this show thinking I was gonna hate it completely, thinking I was gonna be like, okay, here we go, another social justice show. And it was another social justice show, but not in a bad way. Like, it was heavy-handed with some messages, but at the same time it was not too, oh my god, here we go again, same old, same old. This was good. This was actually decent. It was competent enough to where I'm like, dang, this is actually mad entertaining. Like, I can get behind it. What made the show good, at least for me, was the action. I am a huge man when it comes to action and, kung fu and, martial arts, because I'm into that kind of thing. So, yeah, the fight scenes were very well, choreographed. It was amazing. It was really the only saving grace. Well, not the only saving grace, but the main saving grace. The two parents were pretty much the main enjoyment factor of it, because they had competent actors who knew what they were doing, who weren't just born into this yesterday, who didn't just get an easy job. No, these people were professionals, and one was in Mulan, actually. So I was like, okay, I've seen him before. So that was great. Anything with him and with the main character's parents were actually mad interesting. I still can't for the life of me remember the main character's name. Dude, it's Olivia Liang. God dang, dude, do better. Like she basically felt like Mulan, damn near. Like, I'm not gonna be, I'm not finna lie to y'all. It was pretty much Mulan, the show. Literally. And of course, we get to the social justice moments of the show. There was, of course, the standard, oh, I'm a woman moments in the show, which I never had a problem. Okay, I had a huge problem with it. You know this. If you've been on my channel long enough, you know I have a problem with this. But I'm just saying, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't Batwoman bad. It wasn't Supergirl levels of bad or cringe. Besides a few scenes, there was that one scene with the poker player, I think, or the guy who like manages the gambling hall or whatever. It was, and of course he was black. He was all like, oh, something sweetie or whatever, and she was in, like, she beat up all the dudes because of course small petite woman can beat up a bunch of fully grown men because of the power of plot and whammon power. And that was hilariously cringe. Like, I found myself literally cringing every time something outlandish happened. Like the scene where she was taken down literally like an army. One of the characters literally said an army of gangsters. Again, these are fully grown big men being manhandled by a small petite woman. And again, no shade, but I'm just saying a little bit of what the F is going on. And then once she gets to the final boss, basically the main gangster who was hustling her family for money because they had to owe them money while she was away training to be Mulan's carbon copy. So it was of course predictable ending. Like I said, the fight choreography is amazing and immaculate, so it wasn't too bad. So it's the only thing that made it enjoyable. I can't even deny that. It was great. So she kicks his of course, and everybody's all praising her. She's back. The family drama was solved. Oh yeah, by the way, there was some family drama in the first episode because she kind of just ran away from home for 3 years. She dropped out of college, and that's going to be relevant later in the video. So after all of that, first episode done, whoosh, into episode 2, turns out, oh yeah, by the way, there's mystical items in this show, by the way. Yeah. There's mystical items. I believe there's 8, and she has to find them all before this dark version of her, basically. Literally, like, I was watching the show, and everything's about her is just a dark version of the main character. From the, subservient man boy toy that they keep around that does whatever. And speaking of, let's get to this man. I don't like this man. He is a carbon copy of what modern feminists want from men. Basically a yes man who will do and say whatever, who just so happens to have a very pretty face and abs of steel. It's hilarious how on the nose they are sometimes. It's hilarious. I kid you not. So this dude basically says and does whatever she wants. Like, also there's a toxic white men in every look. I had this cute little score counter. I kept taking notes on how many times that men were gonna get shat on in every episode, and lo and behold, it was like 4 times, and this was 4 times for 4 episodes before they finally chilled out with it, and 2 times for the black brothers. So this was hilarious to me. I just found it funny. Like I had to do something to make this video unique and oh my god, hilarious. Sorry about I dropped my phone stand. Ignore it. So basically, this was hilarious. Again, she ends up. Oh, by the way, she has no job. Like, but then again, me and her have that in common. Shame. But yeah, she has no job, and she basically lives like a teenager, even though she's in her early 20s. Obviously, again, so much in common. So she ends up again living with her parents and all that. But here's the weird thing that I always found weird: she has literally no job, but her parents are kind of rich in a way, so I guess it doesn't matter. Like, so there's that, or at least her sister's rich. From what I gather, you know, she's always going to galas and parties. She had this fancy little pre-marriage marriage in the first episode, I believe. It was all kinds of weird. So basically, she spends her time being a superhero full time. Yeah, she's basically a super. Like, this is basically female Shang-Chi and Mulan mixed in a blender. I kid you not. Again, the fight choreography was wonderful, but that's like the only saving grace. And the parents are just amazing to see on screen. The acting, the chemistry, it's literally perfect. They feel so organic and real. So I like that aspect. And spoilers, towards the end of the show, they're hunting these ancient weapons, and at the finale of the first season, I believe, or am I like not finished with it yet? I don't know. But anyway, the finale is basically like, darn, she got all the weapons, but then she goes back to her monastery where she trained for 3 years to become a badass. And then at the very last minute of the episode, you see the main villain walk up to our protagonist and say, "We have much to discuss," while all of her sisters, girl power moment, are, you know, cornering her with katanas at the ready to, you know, end her. Which I'm pretty sure whatever next episode comes out, they're going to be all like, "Oh, I'll listen to what you have to say, but I hate you for killing my master." Yeah, by the way, that's what motivates her. I know, right? I'm late. But basically, the main villain kills her master, which, by the way, her master was the main villain's older sister. And like, keep in mind, the main character never loses a fight to a man in this show, but you know, it's CW. And the only people who can beat her up or pose a threat is literally her freaking villain, who is also a powerful independent woman who kills her boyfriend, because, you know, why not? Men aren't nothing. They're basically a liability. She literally said her boyfriend was a liability. The villain said it. The villain was like, "You're nothing but a liability, but I do love you, but you're a liability." So she slits homeboy's throat. He was so good. I liked him in the show because I was like, they're gonna kill him. They're gonna kill him. Like any likable man, they're gonna kill him off. And of course they did, in the most gruesome way possible, especially for the CW. Like, it was so weird to me. Like, it didn't make any sense, but it was still, like, it was enjoyable. Anyways, yeah. I can't believe I almost ended off the video without talking about everything I hated. So, everything I hated all in one. There was the tokenized black character. There was really one black main character. And, of course, get this. He's gay and an activist. And there was, like, one episode where, like, a black kid was gunned down just for riding his skateboard around the shop. And so he was gunned down and then later died in the operating, you know, place or whatever, the hospital. And the gay black guy, the tokenized black character, basically he was dating the main character's gay brother. And I'm like, this is hilarious, bro. It was so shameless. Like, it was hilarious. And she had an ex-boyfriend who was white, of course, because, you know, again, why not? Of course he was. And her parents didn't approve, so that's why, well, part of the reason why she left to find herself for 3 years in a monastery or whatever temple she was in. Honestly, the show wasn't as bad as I wanted it to be. I wanted to hate this show so bad, but I was actually mad and intrigued by a few plot points. I'm still not a fan of how CW handles, woke culture. It's still annoying, and it was so prevalent in the show sometimes where I was it took me out of the show a lot. And like, the ideal male for what people want in this modern day and age on the show was personified. Like, this dude was such a wet walnut. It made no sense. It was hilarious. Like, I could not stop myself from cringing every time he agreed with her on whatever idiotic scheme she cooked up. Like, they went on heists, broke so many laws, assaulted so many people, and like, she faced no repercussions for it. Like, I was thinking they're gonna be smart with it, at least make her face some consequences for her actions. But no, of course not. Couldn't let a powerful, strong woman face any consequences for her actions, despite how irresponsible she was in this show. Like, I mean, wildly irresponsible. Like, they treat her like she's a 16-year-old girl when she's a literal 20-something-year-old living in San Francisco, I believe. It was just so weird to me. I never understand this. Like, if they wanted to treat her like this, they might as well just made her an actual teenager instead of making her a full-grown adult acting like a teenager. They did the same thing with Nora Allen in The Flash. It was really weird and contrived. But honestly, this show, I'll give it my final rating. I'm going to give it a solid... I'm going to give it a 5.5. And that's because the social justice stuff really held it back. It was really in your face when they wanted you to notice it. But honestly, it was decent. Like, it isn't something I wanted to watch. I only watched it just for the content alone, because I heard about this, like, I believe a year ago, and I saw a trailer, and I was like, you know what? Let me see if that kung fu thing's still a thing. So it was good. I was okay. And honestly, it wasn't the greatest, but like I said, it's got a 5.5. But hopefully, if it gets to season 2, it'll do better. That's the end of this review. Shout out on the screen. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And like, comment, subscribe to all the good stuff, and I will see you later.